We all exist in the present. Isn't that a reality? And thank you all for being present today. It's so lovely to have Shalini back. Shalini, thank you so much. Gurdeep, as charming as ever, reading well and better. God bless you. This week, Gurdeep also had a meeting with Dr. Manu Kapoor, which was our previous masterclass. So she may have a wow moment with the celebrity.
Yeah.
Maybe she
Yes.
wants to tell us about that. Thank you, Minakshi. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you, Kritika. Thank you, Akanksha, all for being here. So this Learning Forward is Saturday, which we happened today earlier in the day. Also had another interesting situation where the host was not there. So Brinda became the host. That's how we have to go. That's how we have to move. So similarly in the masterclass, we have to have people becoming hosts. Whole idea about the trust and relationship is the freedom we have. And I'm sure most of you will agree. There's so much freedom here to do things and to work. And with that spirit, that's how the masterclass designed. Is the freedom, is the trust, is the relationship. And that's why a dialogue like this, let's exist in the present. Over to you, Gurdeep.
So shall I start reading or a reflection of the yesterday's session?
It's all yours.
The
You are the host.
last.
You are the
Okay.
boss. You are the host.
Okay.
Shalini wants to say something, but she can only say it after you say it
Okay,
because you are
fine.
the host.
Yes. So last week, my key takeaway was from the session that two types of relationship exist. One is vertical relationship and one is horizontal. And the moment in vertical relationship is all about the moment we say like good or bad, there we are establishing authority, and that is a vertical relationship. And on the other hand, if we talk about horizontal relationship, so feeling of gratitude is there. And in that kind of relationship, more of thank you should be used rather than praising or rebuking each other. And in horizontal relationship, there is a feeling of community, there is a feeling of contribution. Okay, I have contributed something to the society. So that was an eye opener for me, basically. Even as a teacher, if we are going to the class, so we should try to establish horizontal relationship rather than vertical relationship. So that was the important key takeaway for me from the previous session. Over to you, Shalini ma'am, if you want to add something, your reflection.
So, Gurdeep, more or less you have covered, but still I would like to share what is my takeaway. So, I feel that the philosopher urges us to free ourselves from the habit of expecting anything from others. He challenges the idea of being the protagonist of the world, reminding us that life is not centered around any single individual. Uh, Moreover, he also says that instead of excessive self focus, we should focus on giving back to the society. So we should embrace the the community living point. So true growth, according to him, comes from expanding our horizons, moving beyond you and I to include the larger community we are part of. Another key aspect that he draws is, in a subtle manner, is powerful distinction between praise and gratitude, suggesting that expressing genuine gratitude nurtures mutual respect without creating hierarchies. And the third thing, which you have already covered, is focus on horizontal relationship rather than the vertical ones. So that is the third key takeaway.
Yes. So now this current chapter that is exist in the present. Over to you, philosopher.
Well, have you worked things out?
Gradually, but yes, it's getting clearer. You don't seem to be aware of it, but just now you said something really over the top. It's dangerous, rather extreme opinion that just negates everything in the world.
Oh, really? What is it?
It's the idea that being of use to someone is what gives one a true awareness of one's worth. If you put it the other way round, a person who isn't of any use to others has no worth at all. That's what are you saying, isn't it? If one takes that to its logical conclusion, then the lives of newborn babies and of invalids and old people who are bedridden aren't worth living either. How could this be? Let's talk about my grandfather. He spends days bedridden at an old people's home since he has dementia. He doesn't recognize any of his children or grandchildren, and his condition is such that he would not be able to go on living without constant care. One simply couldn't think of him as being of use to someone. Don't you see? Your opinion is basically the same thing as saying to my grandfather, people like you aren't qualified to live.
I reject that definitively.
How do you reject that?
Well, there are parents who refute my explanation of the concept of encouragement by saying our child does bad things from morning to night, and there's never an occasion to tell him, thank you, or you helped me a lot. Gurdeep, I think you have,
Just a
yeah.
second. So where are we?
Mm, it's, I think, next page, or is it? Mm,
Okay,
it's
yes.
correct. It's okay. It's there. Okay.
Mm.
So it's from here. The context is probably the same as what you are talking about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So tell me, please, how you justify that.
At this point, you're looking at another person on the level of his acts. In other words, that person did something. So, from that point of view, it might seem that bedridden old people are only a nuisance and are of no use to anyone. So, let us look at other people not on the level of acts, but on the level of being, without judging whether or not other people did something. One rejoices in their being there, in their very existence, and one calls out to them with words of gratitude.
You call out to their existence. What on earth are you talking about?
If you consider things at the level of being, we are of use to others and have worth just by being here. This is an indisputable fact.
No way. Enough joking around. Being of use to someone just by being here, that's got to be straight out of some new religion.
Well, for example, suppose your mother has a car accident. Her condition is serious and her life may be in danger. At a time like that, you would not be wondering if your mother did something or anything of the sort. More than likely, you will just be thinking you'll be glad if she makes it, and you are glad she is holding on right now.
Of course, I would.
That's what it means to be grateful on the level of being. Your mother might not be able to do anything in her critical condition. That would be considered an act. But just by being alive, she would be supporting the psychological state of you and your family, and would therefore be of use. The same could be said for you too. If your life were in danger and you were hanging on by a thread, the people around you would probably feel very gladdened just by the very fact of your existing. They would simply feel thankful that you are safe in the here and now, and would not be wanting you to perform some direct act. At the very least, there is no reason they would have to think that way. So instead of thinking of oneself on the level of acts, first of all, one accepts oneself on the level of being.
That's an extreme example. Everyday life is different.
No, it's the same.
What is the same about it? Try and give me a more everyday example, please. If you can't, I won't be able to agree with this.
All right. When we look at other people, we are prone to construct our own ideal images of ourselves, which we then detract from and judge. Imagine, for example, a child who never talks back to his parents, excels in both schoolwork and sports, attends a good university, and joins a large company. There are parents who would compare their child to such an image of an ideal child, which is an impossible fiction, and then be filled with complaints and dissatisfaction. They treat the idealized image as 100 points and they gradually subtract from that. This is truly a judgment way of thinking. Instead, the parents could refrain from comparing their child to anyone else. See him for who he actually is and be glad and grateful for his being there. Instead of taking away points from some idealized image, they could start from zero. And if they do that, they should be able to call out to his existence itself.
Okay, but I would say that's just an idealistic approach. So, are you saying that even with the kind of child who never goes to school or gets a job, but just shuts himself in and stays home, one should still communicate one's gratitude and say thank you?
Of course, suppose your shut in child helped you wash the dishes after a meal. If you were to say then, enough of that already, just go to school, you would be using the words of such parents who detract from an image of an ideal child. If you were to take such an approach, the child would probably end up even more discouraged. However, if you can say a straightforward thank you, the child just might feel his own worth and take a new step forward.
That's just utterly hypocritical. It's nothing more than the nonsensical talk of a hypocrite. It sounds like the neighborly love that Christmas talk about, the community feeling, the horizontal relationships, the gratitude for existence, and so on. Who on earth could actually do such things?
With regard to this issue of community feeling, there was a person who asked Adler a similar question. Adler's reply was the following: someone has to start. Other people might not be cooperative, but that is not connected to you. My advice is this: you should start without, with no regard to whether others are cooperative or not. My advice is exactly the same. So, Gurdeep, should we take a short break up for the reflection here?
Yeah, yes.
So, anybody who would like to share their understanding or reflection of this particular chapter, to exist in the present? So, for me, it was that let us not judge people on the basis of their acts. We should actually rejoice in the very existence of those people. For me, this was.
Living, please, ma'am, continue, then I'll speak.
Yes, ma'am, this was just the takeaway from my side. You may continue.
The thing is, living in the present, actually, we don't live in the present. We are always full of memories, what happened in the past. And we carry it along with us. And that's one reason why we are so unhappy, or we are very worried about what might happen in the future. Right. And living in the present means valuing every moment that we have at the moment, at this point of time. It's very difficult to put present in any other way. Valuing it at this, and every second that is there is, I mean, since there's nothing to worry about, I'm enjoying the session right now. And it's so nice to be here talking to like minded people. but do we really value it in that manner? So it's supposed to be the best time, right? So that is, I mean, but we normally don't think in those terms. We're always worrying about what might happen, or what or what happened in the past, and it colors up our present in a very negative manner. So I think that is what I would say is living in the present is just enjoying this moment and every moment that is ticking by.
So very true. We actually, most of us, majority of us, worry about our future, and we, what do you say, brood upon our past. So we find it very difficult to live in present. That is very true, ma'am. So let's continue with people cannot make proper use of self, Gurdeep.
I should start. Yeah, Shalini ma'am. So the chapter is people cannot make proper use of self. I should start.
Okay. That's right. Without regard to whether other people are cooperative or not.
All right. I'll ask you again. People can be of use to someone else simply by being alive and have a true sense of their worth just by being alive.
Yes.
Is that what are you saying?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I'm alive right here and now. I, who is no one else but me, am alive right here. But even so, I don't really feel that I have worth.
Can you describe in words why you do not feel that you have worth?
I suppose it's what you have been referring to as interpersonal relations. From childhood up to the present, I have always been belittled by people around me, especially my parents, as a poor excuse for a little brother. They have never really tried to recognize me for who I am. You say that worth is something one gives to oneself, but that just an impracticable theory. For example, at the library where I work, for the most part of my job is just sorting the returned books and putting them back on the shelves. It's a routine work that anyone could do once they have been taught. If I stopped going to work, my boss would have no trouble finding someone to replace me. I am needed only for the unskilled labor I provide. And it doesn't actually matter at all if it is I who is working there or someone else, or a machine for that matter. No one is requiring this me in particular. In such circumstances, would you have confidence in yourself? Would you be able to have a true sense of worth?
From an Adlerian psychology point of view, the answer is simple. First of all, build a horizontal relationship between yourself and another person. One is enough. Let's start from there.
Please don't treat me like a fool. Look, I have friends, and I'm building solid horizontal relationships with them.
Even so, I suspect that with your parents and your boss, and with your junior colleagues and other people as well, the relationships you are building are vertical ones.
Of course, I have different kinds of relationships. That's how it is for everyone.
This is a very important point. Does one build vertical relationships or does one build horizontal relationships? This is an issue of lifestyle. And human beings are not so clever as to be able to have different lifestyles available whenever the need arises. In other words, deciding that one is equal to this person or in hierarchical relationship with that person does not work.
Do you mean that one has to choose one or the other, vertical relationships or the horizontal relationships?
Absolutely, yes. If you are building even one vertical relationship with someone, Before you even notice what is happening, you will be treating all your interpersonal relationships as vertical.
So I'm treating even my relationships with my friends as vertical?
That is correct. Even if you are not treating them in a boss or subordinate kind of way, it is as if you are saying A is above me and B is below me. For example, or I'll follow A's advice but ignore what B says. Or I don't mind breaking my promise to C.
Hmm.
On the other hand, if one has managed to build a horizontal relationship with at least one person, if one has been able to build a relationship of equals in the true sense of the term, that is a major lifestyle transformation. With that breakthrough, all one's interpersonal relations will gradually become horizontal.
What nonsense. There are so many ways I could refute that. Think of a company setting, for example. It wouldn't really be feasible for the director and his new recruits to form relationships as equals, would it? Hierarchical relationships are part of the system of our society, and to ignore that is to ignore the social order. Look, if you heard that a new recruit at your company who is only 20 or so had suddenly started budding up to the 60 something director, don't you think it would sound pretty far fetched?
It is certainly important to respect one's elders. In a company structure, it is only natural for there to be different levels of responsibility. I'm not telling you to make friends with everyone or behave as if you are close friends. Rather, what is important is to be equal in consciousness and to assert that which needs to be asserted.
I'm not someone who can mouth off to my seniors. I would never think of trying. My social common sense would be called into question if I did.
What is senior? What is this mouthing off? If one is gauging the atmosphere of a situation and being dependent on vertical relationships, one is engaging in irresponsible acts. One is trying to avoid one's responsibilities.
So, what is irresponsible about it?
Suppose that as a result of following your boss's instructions, your work ends in failure. Whose responsibility is it then?
Well, that would be my boss' responsibility because I was just following orders and he was the one who decided on them.
None of the responsibility is yours?
No, it isn't. It's a responsibility of the boss who gave the orders. That is what's known as organizational accountability.
You are wrong here. That is a life lie. There is space for you to refuse, and there should also be space to propose a better way of doing things. You are just thinking there is no space to refuse so that you can avoid the conflict of the associated interpersonal relations and avoid responsibility. And you are being dependent on vertical relationships.
Are you saying I should disobey my boss? Sure, in theory, I should. Theoretically, it's exactly as you say. But I can't do that. There is no way I could build a relationship like that.
Really, you are building a horizontal relationship with me right now. You're asserting yourself very well. Instead of thinking about this or that difficulty, you can just start here.
I can start here.
Yes, in this small study, as I told you earlier, to me, you are an irreplaceable friend. Am
Hmm.
I wrong?
I appreciate it. I really do. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid of accepting your proposal.
What are you afraid of exactly?
The task of friendship naturally. I have never befriended an older man like you. I have no just a second. I think I'm on the right page. I have no idea if a friend relationship with such a difference in age is even possible, or if I had better think of it as a student teacher relationship.
Age doesn't matter in love and friendship. It's certainly true that the task of friendship require a steady courage. With regard to your relationship with me, it will be fine to reduce the distance little by little to a degree of distance in which we are not in very close contact, but can still reach out and touch each other's faces with our outstretched arms, so to speak.
Please give me some time. Just once more, I would like some time to try to figure things out on my own. Our discussion today has given me much to think about. I would like to take it all home and ruminate on it calmly on my own.
It takes time to gain a true understanding of community feeling. It would be quite impossible to understand everything about it here and now. Please return to your home and give it some careful thought while checking it against everything else we have discussed.
I will. In any case, it was quite a blow to be told that I never really look at others, and I only have concern for myself. You are really a dreadful fellow.
Haha, you say it in such a happy way.
Yes, I enjoy it immensely. It hurts, of course. It's like a sharp pain that shoots through me, as if I were swallowing needles, but still, I enjoy it immensely. It's a habit forming, having these discussions with you. I realized a little while ago. Maybe I don't just want to take apart your argument. I want you to take apart mine too.
I see. That's an interesting analysis.
But don't forget, I told you that I'm going to take apart your argument and bring you to your knees, and I haven't given up.
Thank you. I have had a good time too. Come whenever you are ready to pick this back up.
So we can take a pause here if anyone wants to share their reflection or if anyone wants to add something, they can add, they can unmute and add. For me, it's difficult to digest that they are saying, Shalini ma'am, I want to discuss this. It's difficult for me to digest here that they are saying like we should have horizontal kind of relationship with everyone. Whereas in real life, we have vertical relation with some people and with some people we have horizontal relationship. But having horizontal relationship with everyone, I think it's a task.
So Gurdeep, what I feel is I think we all of us experience vertical relationships only at a workplace most of
Yes,
the times.
yes.
So if you recall the past chapters, I feel when we take everybody to be our comrades. So if we take everybody as a comrade, so maybe we can have horizontal relationship.
But like in organization and corporate world, there is always a hierarchy, like superior subordinate relationship exists, and that structure we cannot deny.
Very true. And everybody, the new joinees and everybody in the office, they are asked to follow the hierarchy, to follow
Yes.
the protocols. So this is really very difficult to have it in practical sense. So anybody else who has faced this kind of issue at his or her workplace would like to share something here.
The ability to be to express ourselves come more easily if the relationship is horizontal rather than vertical. So in a workplace, sometimes as a senior person, maybe as juniors, we may feel that, well, how can we go around having a horizontal relationship? But if we are at the helm of things, then we sometimes need to cultivate that horizontal relationship so that people do come and speak about their problems and also learn from situations.
I feel sometimes when horizontal relationship is there, accountability to do a work or responsibility towards something is inbuilt in a horizontal relationship than in a vertical relationship.
That's
May I
true.
add
I
something
mean,
here, Shalini?
No, sir, you may continue, sir, please.
Yeah. You know what I think? We are right here. This is horizontal relationship in practice. Think about it. Couldn't have been a better example here, from school going young people to college to teachers to us people who are way past their prime time. Here we are. There is no question of any vertical relationship. And ultimately, this is what freedom is. Where the mind is held, you all know what I'm referring to. And if you refer to Tagore's words, I think that's where this inspiration comes from. You see, today, the process of learning has become so democratic. You see, the process of acquisition of knowledge has become without any hierarchy whatsoever. At the press of a button, you connect with just about anyone horizontally. Where is the vertical relationship left now? It's only left in the classrooms of yesterday, if I may add that. Thank you.
So, Gurdeep, we can continue.
Yes.
And another thing I would like to share here is so about the friendship. So when we make friends, age is not taken into consideration. So I would say that in my previous school, I had a very close friend as young as 24 years. So, and we were really very good friends. So it's not about age, it is about how well do you go along with each other, how well your thoughts, your mental tuning goes. So uh, philosopher says rightly here that friendship knows no age. So we are on chapter number 5, fifth night, the fifth night. Yes, Gurdeep?
Shalini?
Yeah, I'll continue, sir. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the
I think
next chapter, the fifth night, to live
yeah.
in earnest in the here and now.
Okay, Shalini, just a minute. Let's see if we can engage with someone else and see someone can become your student here. But I'm sure some people have books. Akanksha, would you like to be student?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Akanksha is a student and Shalini is now the philosopher. So let's have a dialogue between a new philosopher and a new student. So both
Okay,
of you have books, just read
Okay.
on. Don't worry about the screen.
sure, sir.
The whole idea
Sure,
of reading from books is being together. I mean, what I learned yesterday was at the Growing Knowledge session that so often we are so concentrating on the screen that we actually miss the joy of the session. So
The
go
young
ahead.
man, the young man,
Akanksha, you read from the book and Shalini will also read. Go ahead. Let's try this out.
Okay. Okay.
the young man thought to himself. Adlerian psychology is engaged in a thorough inquiry into interpersonal relationships. And the final goal of these interpersonal relationships is community feeling. But is this really enough? Isn't there something else that I was brought into this world to achieve? What is the meaning of life? Where am I headed? And to what sort of life am I trying to lead? The more the young man thought, the more it seemed to him that his own existence had been tiny and insignificant. So we begin with the chapter Excessive Self Consciousness, stifles the self. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yes, I last come about a month ago. I have been thinking about the meaning of community feeling since then.
So, how do you feel about it now?
Well, community feeling is definitely an attractive idea. The sense of belonging, that it's okay to be here, for example, which we possess as a fundamental desire. I think it is a brilliant insight into our existence as social creatures.
It's a brilliant insight, except
Funny, you caught on right away. That's right. I still have some issues with it. I will say it straight out. I have no idea what you are going the universe and all that. And it ends up reeking of religion from beginning to end. There is this kind of cultish uh, quality to it all that I just can't shake.
when Adler first proposed the concept of community feeling, there was a great deal of opposition in similar vein. People said that psychology is supposed to be a science. And here was Adler discussing the issue of worth. The sort of thing isn't science, they said.
So, in my own way, I try to figure out why I couldn't understand what you were talking about. And I'm thinking that the order of things might be the problem. You are starting off with the universe of inanimate animate objects and the past and the future and so on. So I lose track, get a firm grasp of the I. Next one should contemplate one-on-one relationships. That is to say, the interpersonal relationships of you and I. And once one has done that, the larger community should come into view.
I see. That is a good order.
Now, the first
Now,
thing I want to ask.
yeah, ma'am, continue, please, ma'am, continue.
Now, the
Akanksha, ma'am,
first
you
thing I
can
want.
continue.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first thing I want to ask about the attachment to self. You are saying that one has to stop being attached to the I and make the switch to concern for others. I'm sure it is exactly as you say. Concern for others is important. I agree. But no matter at ourselves at all the time.
Have you thought about why we worry about ourselves?
I have. If I were a narcissist, for example, I were in love with myself and constantly fascinated with myself, maybe that would simply simplify things because your instructions have more concern for others. It is perfectly sound one, but I'm not a self-loving narcissist. I am a loathing realist. I hate who I am, and that's exactly why I look at myself all the time. I don't have confidence in myself, and that's why I'm excessively self conscious.
At what times do you feel that you are excessively self conscious?
Well, at meetings, for example, I have a hard time raising my hand and making myself heard. I think needless things like if I ask this question, they will probably laugh at me. Or if the point I want to make is irrelevant, I will get uh, ridiculed and so on. And I just calm up. Truthfully, I falter even when it comes to telling silly jokes in front of people. Every time my self consciousness kicks in and puts the brakes on, and it's as if I have been straitjacketed. My self consciousness won't allow me to behave in an innocent way. But I don't even have to ask for your answer. I'm sure it will be the same as always. Have courage, but such words are of no use to me because this isn't just a matter of courage.
I see. Last time I gave an overview of the community feeling. Today, we will dig deeper.
And where will that take us?
We will probably arrive at the question, what is happiness?
Oh, so happiness lies beyond community feeling.
There is no need to rush the answers. What we need is dialogue.
All right then. So let's get started.
So here I would like to take a pause. I think majority of us at some point of time, whether we were students or when we first started working, all of us had that kind of self-consciousness. If I say this, what the other people are going to think about me. So as teachers, when we became teachers and gradually as we progressed further, I remember telling my children that do not think about what others are going to think. At least you have the courage to stand up and give the answer and ask the questions. So philosopher has actually put this point forward here. So it's a life reality.
That's a very interesting one, Shalini, what you said, because it takes courage. And so often between courage and finding yourself is this inherent fear that I'll be judged.
So
And the
everywhere
courage,
it comes to judgment. So
absolutely. So courage to be disliked is that we're not afraid. And I don't want to use a loose phrase, but sometimes we say, care a damn, just do what you can. That's how you sometimes find yourself. I was just reading a book called The Grandfather. I just finished it. In fact, I marked it somewhere. It was my Christmas week read. Very interesting thing in that book is this gentleman who's got dementia. And dementia is in various levels. He's a grandfather. And the granddaughter comes and has conversations with him. And the beautiful part is so often the granddaughter thinks that she cannot speak certain things with the grandfather. And when the grandfather finally speaks to her, he's actually saying what she wants to say. So it's so beautiful. Sometimes your judgments are your figments of your imagination. And without yours even having the courage to speak, other person's already got the communication. So then what is left? What are you afraid of?
like in the last chapters, no, so the youth's grandmother also tells him that it is only you who is worried about your appearance.
Absolutely.
None of the people they are bothered about how the way you have combed your hair or how do you look.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's everything is in our mind.
So let me just get across to the book if we can come somewhere. It's called My Grandfather, the Master Detective. It's by Masatera Kunishi. I have shared this in one community, so I think I shared it in Brewing Knowledge. And it's very similar to, yes, it's from a Japanese, that's the commonality. And if you see currently, there's so much Japanese writing, and I think it's beautiful learning. That's why this time I thought we should focus on Japanese writing in the masterclass. Unlike our last masterclass, where we focused on a professional professor's work, and there was very little philosophy. They were just facts there, facts which felt like fiction. If I want to describe productive failure, so if you see today, there's a surfeit of literature which has been translated from Korean to English, from Japanese to English. Even in my good school, our first book, if someone will remember, was Toto Chan. And what one finds about these books is they all have the similar theme: have courage. And they all focus on the relationship between the mentor and the mentee. Large number of these books are designed like that. Whenever you pick up a book, whether it is, let us say, a book like we read the door-to-door bookstore, or we read these whole lot of books coming in bookstore where relationships are born in a bookstore. So here the relationship is happening in the study. So today there's huge amount of literature, and all the literature only says is that it's you who have to take the courage to find yourself. That's the whole joy of learning. Thank you for letting me speak so much.
So there's another very beautiful book. I think Gurdeep will recollect. It is Tuesdays with Maury.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
also
Sorry, yeah.
it's also about
We
a
did book
mentor and his
discussion
student.
on that.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful conversation. It's a very beautiful conversation. Sorry, I have the privilege of having read so many. So I sometimes don't even remember what I've read, honestly, because there's so much has gone inside. But that's possibly
So
that
we
shapes you. That's what shapes you. I think that's what happens when we read and we just keep reading. What is very important, don't even try and recollect what you've read. Because I'm a firm believer there's an osmosis happening when you're reading, and it's actually shaping you up. I have a 6-month-old grandson. I spent a few days with him. And the guy, there's a series of book called Bubbles. He can't speak, he can't read. But I'm sure he's understood the bubble stories. He got bored with two, we bought seven more. So every day his mom reads. So his reaction, you can say before you turn the page, what is the reaction's gonna be? And that's a beautiful example of horizontal learning where the mom and the child come on the exact same page. So when you were growing up, when you were born, you mumbled something, your mom mumbled something back. That's a beautiful example of horizontal learning. Where is the hierarchy between a mom and a child?
because
And
nobody is judging each other there.
yes, you just said what
There
I
is no
was wanting people
judgment.
to say.
There is no fear of judgment.
There's
Yeah.
no
In
fear
that
of judgment.
relationship.
There's no, I mean, mom will say anything, gutragu to matargu to whatever she wants to say. She's not concerned that she doesn't concern what it appeals to you or anyone around. She's just so beautifully connected with the child. And that's the beauty of communication. That's the beauty of relationship. That's the beauty of trust.
So it is again
And with
not
your family
we are not
members, sorry to intervene, with your family members, you are at very ease because there is no fear of judgment. They are not judging you on anything, your family members. That's why you're so comfortable with them. And the moment you go out, you feel like everyone is looking at you and judging you. So that requires courage.
And that's the heading of the next chapter.
Sorry to intervene, Shalima. Yeah.
No, but Gurdeep, that's the heading of the next chapter.
Yeah,
Not
self-affirmation and
self-affirmation,
self.
self-acceptance. That's the beauty of the relationship. Would you have time to read one more small chapter? How long is the chapter, Gurdeep? You have the book with you? Just flip a
it's four
Akanksha.
pages now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Four
Four.
pages.
why don't the two of you read, or if you want, I can read part. I really don't know, but I think if someone else wants to read, they're also welcome. We're all here. See, we're also learning, and I'm also finding that people want to read. So it's lovely that people have started reading and people who want to read. And I tell Gurdeep again and again, I'm more than happy if only two people turn up. Such a joy. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would read even if I am alone, honestly. If no one turned up, I would still read and record the video and put up. As simple as that. So, and that's the confidence you need to have on what you're doing.
So,
So
sir,
don't
on
ever
that
think,
note, I
yeah.
think you can conclude the last
So
chapter.
recalling.
Okay. First of all, let's look at what you were just saying about your self conscious putting the brakes on and not letting you behave in an innocent way. There are probably many people who experience this trouble. So let's go back to the source again and think about your goal. What could you be trying to gain by putting the brakes on your own innocent behavior?
It's the genuine desire to not be laughed at, not be thought of.
So, in other words, you do not have confidence in your innocent self, in yourself just as you are, right? And you stay away from the kind of interpersonal relationship in which you would just be yourself. But I'll bet that when you are home alone, Gurdeep, you're home alone.
Ah,
I
uh,
You sing out
page.
loud
Is it
and
not
dance,
visible?
dance to music and speak in lively voice.
Huh. It's almost like you have set up a surveillance camera in my room. But yes, it's true. I can behave freely when I am alone.
Anyone can behave like a king when they are alone. So, this is an issue that should be considered in the context of interpersonal relationships. Because it isn't that you don't have an innocent self, it is only that you can't do such things in front of others.
Well, what should I do then?
I think Gurdeep has a connection challenge. And let me see, I'll. Sorry about this production challenge today. Gurdeep, you have a poor connection at your end. We kind of lose you again and again. We
I
again lost you and the
yeah.
text.
Yeah, just a second. I don't know why today I'm facing this problem. Is
Yeah,
it
again,
visible?
it's very poor. Your voice is also trailing.
Okay.
Now you're frozen.
Is it
Yeah.
visible?
Yeah, it's visible. It's
Am I
visible.
audible?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's visible. Anyone can behave like a king when they're alone. So this is an issue that should be considered in the context of interpersonal relationships because it isn't that you don't have an innocent self. It is only that you can't do such things in front of others.
Well, what should I do then?
It's about community feeling. After all, concretely speaking, it's making the switch from attachment to self interest, to concern for others, social interest, and gaining a sense of community feeling. Three things are needed at this point: self acceptance, confidence in others, and contribution to others. Think of the six C's here. Interesting. New words, I see. This is yours, Gurdeep.
Yeah. Interesting. New keywords I see. What do they refer to?
Let's start with self acceptance. On our first night, I brought up the statement of Adler's. The important thing is not what one is born with.
Um, I have turned the page.
Yeah, turn
Uh,
the page.
yeah. I have turned the page. Is it visible?
It hasn't reached us. Yeah, now it's reached us.
Yeah, there is some net. Okay.
But what use one makes of that equipment? Do you remember this?
Yes, of course.
We cannot discard the receptacle that is the eye, and neither can we replace it. The important thing, however, is what use one makes of the equipment. One changes one's way of looking at the tea. That is to say, one changes how one uses it.
Does that mean be more positive and have a stronger sense of self-affirmation? Think about everything more positively?
There is no need to go out of one's way to be positive and affirm oneself. It's not self affirmation that we are concerned with, but self acceptance.
Not self-affirmation, but self-acceptance?
That's right. There's a clear difference. Self affirmation is making suggestions to oneself, such as, I can do it, or I'm strong, even when something is simply beyond one's ability. It is a notion that can bring about a superiority complex and may even be termed a way of living in which one lies to oneself. With self acceptance, on the other hand, if one cannot do something, one is simply accepting one's incapable self as is and moving forward so that one can do whatever one can. It is not a way of lying to oneself. To put it more simply, say you've got a score of 60%, but you tell yourself, I just happened to get unlucky this time around, and the real me is 100%. That is self affirmation. By contrast, if one accepts oneself as one is, as 60%, and thinks to oneself, how should I go about getting closer to 100%? That is self acceptance.
So, even if you're only 60%, there is no need to be pessimistic.
Of course not. No one is perfect. Do you recall what I said when I was explaining the pursuit of superiority? That all people are in this condition of wanting to improve. But the other way around, there is no such thing as 100% person. This is something we should actively acknowledge.
Hmm. What are you saying sounds positive in various respects, but has a negative ring to it as well.
Here I use the term affirmative resignation.
Affirmative resignation.
This is also the case with the separation of tasks. One ascertains that things one can change and the things one cannot change. One cannot change that one is born with, but one can, under one's own power, go about changing what use one makes of the equipment. So, in that case, one simply has to focus on what one can change rather than on what one cannot change. That is what I call self acceptance.
So, what one can change and what one cannot.
That's right. Accept what is irreplaceable. Accept this me just as it is. And have the courage to change that one change that is self acceptance.
Hmm. That reminds me of a line that the writer Kurt Vonnegut, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it correctly or not, the
Kurt
writer's
Vonnegut.
name.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Okay. Kurt Vonnegut quoted in one of his books, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom always to tell the difference. It's in the novel Slaughterhouse-Five.
So, another book for us to read.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it. It is the Serenity Prayer. The words are well known and have been transmitted for many years in Christian societies. Let's read the Serenity Prayer slowly. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things as I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom always to tell the difference. How beautiful. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom always to tell the difference.
He even used the word courage. I read the book so intently, I should know it by heart, but I never noticed this point until now.
It's true, we do not lack ability, we just lack courage. It all comes down to courage. Thank you for the courage to hanging around through this turbulent session of good connectivity and bad connectivity. Good connectivity because we all love being here, and bad connectivity because technology sometimes comes in the way. So don't consider
Yeah.
that the quality of the session was poor. It was the quality of technology that was poor. So that's the self-acceptance. So thank you so much, Gurdeep. If there's anyone else who wants to add something, she'll share the bookmark as always. The bookmark will come to you. Akanksha, you want to add something?
Sir, वही self acceptance, don't be judgmental, and then someone has to start.
Yeah, that's it. Someone has to start. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. Someone has to start. Someone has to start. So well said, and a good finale to the evening. Kritika, you want to add something, Kritika?
I'm good, sir. It's been a good session for me after a long time, I think.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm glad you made it in this year. I didn't want to see you 1 year later. That would have been, we haven't seen you for 1 year then, if we would have met later on. Thank you, Shalini. Welcome back, and I'm glad everyone's enjoying reading. It's time to tuck yourself in bed and read if you can stay awake. Because if I sit in bed and read, I fall asleep. So I have to sit up and read. That's the only challenge I have. And you put me to bed, and even if I don't have anything, I just put my head in the pillow and I just can't read. Bed means bed. So it's not that way for someone. I'm sure you'll find your cozy spaces to read, your nooks and corners in your home. I only have one suggestion. Try and read at the same space every day in your house. And you see the difference it makes to your quality of reading. Just choose a particular place in your house where you feel that, okay, this is it. This is my space. This is my corner. And try and read from there. My little 2 bits of wisdom for the day.
This is
Thank
like
you, everyone. Yeah.
meditation, sir. Like
Yeah.
meditation. When you meditate at the
Meditation.
same table.
Yeah,
Then
it's like, I mean, reading is a form of meditation. I mean, there's no better form of meditation than reading. And if you see historically, like you will keep apart, or you read the Bible, or you'll do a prayer for a long moment reading it, you'll go for an ardas, and you'd get carried flow of the language and the dialogue. So when you go for, let us say, a Guru Nanak Ardas or anything prayer like that, you just get carried away, you get mesmerized. And that's the whole idea. So whether you call it kirtan or you call it meditation or you call it reading together or you call it book club, these are all various names giving to how what appeals to an individual. But the purpose of all is same, that there's a level of trust, there's a level of relationship, there's a level of reflection. So thank you. I hope this masterclass adds value to your life as it does to ours. We are indebted to each one of you that you take out time and come here every day. This is the last masterclass for 2025. It's actually called Masterclass for 2026 because we started it before 2026. And I'm sure that 2026 we will have the courage to be disliked because that is what will give us the courage to be happy. So thank you so much. Season's greetings. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. See you next year.
Thank you, sir. Wish
Thank you
everybody
so
a
much.
very happy and prosperous new year.
Thank
Thank you.
you.